What is, Dave, what is the best non-GS adventure bike?
So this is the only niche in America that is performing really well. Adventure bikes
Yeah.
are really competitive in America, and I've tested a handful of them this year. I it's so hard because the adventure bikes can go from like really big to kind of middleweights. I'm going to discount the really big adventure bikes right off the bat because that's going to be my bias because I'm small. I'm overwhelmed by
So you're talking like the 1300-ish,
like the
the big ones.
1300s, the Africa Twin, the 1100.
What's the big KTM? Is it 13?
Yeah, and it's like freaking, it's an insane horsepower number on that thing. And like, I know people personally who I've seen them on these things and they ride it like it's a 350.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a sight to behold, like
Right.
what they're capable of doing. But me as a mere mortal and me as someone who dirt is kind of a secondary love for me, those big bikes are really overwhelming. And riding the big bikes on the dirt, I'm riding in abject fear. I really am. They're heavy. If I drop them, can I pick them up? I've been in situations where they have fallen over and I can't lift them up because the tires won't grip and they just slide away from me. And I'm not strong enough to get it up.
To just pry it straight up. Yeah.
And so it makes them less fun to me. Now, as much as I love all the other ones, there was one adventure bike, and I think you know where I'm going with this, that really captured my heart. It was this Chinese e-bike that's sitting behind you. No, it was the Tuareg Rally, specifically the Rally.
Yeah.
That Tuareg Rally, if you haven't seen that video, you need to go watch that video. But that was supposed to be like an off-road Morocco Paris Dakar stage bike. And I freaking rode it across Nevada and on mountain roads with knobbly tires on it. I couldn't believe how good that was. Yeah. And I think all of the middleweight adventure bikes do this, right? Like the Transalp, all these middleweight adventure bikes are far better than they get the credit for. But the Tuareg Rally, specifically the Rally, it had an X factor to it, right? It was a little ridiculous, but it also really captured my heart.
The thing with the adventure bikes so I don't ride the big adventure bikes either. The closest I get to the adventure bikes is either watching your videos when you're doing reviews of them or watching like Paul Torres do mental things on a Tenere. And I think he even rides the Tenere 700, which is, I think, the little one, isn't it?
Yeah, the little 10. Yeah, the little 10 is definitely... The little Tenere is quite good. I got to ride that this year. Yeah. I didn't do a video on it, but I got to ride it. I quite like the little Tenere. But the little Tenere and the Transalp, so if you're going to rank them from like softest to hardest, as you were, right? And by softest, I mean probably the most usable to the most focused. The Transalp is probably the one you should get. And then the 10.7, the little Tenere is just a little more aggressive than that.
And when you say aggressive, you're meaning it's a bit more off-road capable?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah, it's like the wheels are a little stronger. It's a little bit more focused.
Stiffer suspension maybe.
Yeah. And so you go from like the Transalp, which is the one you should get, and then there's the 10.7, which is, if you don't like Honda, get the 10.7. And then there's the Tuareg, and then there's the Tuareg Rally, right? And you're just getting to the pointier end of the stick. And there's something about the Rally, the pointier end of the one, that I thought was really fun.
Where does a thing like an Africa Twin fall into this?
The Africa Twin's a big one. It's an 1100 cc.
Okay. Is it a twin? It's a parallel twin though, right?
They're all parallel. Okay. Yeah. I think they all are parallel twins, actually.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Actually, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. The Africa Twin I love, but the Africa Twin, and it's kind of how I see a GS. Mm-hmm. An Africa Twin, a GS 1300, Multistrada Rally, or whatever. They are more of a touring bike than they are of an adventure bike.
So
right?
you look at those as like an 80% street, 20% off-road type of situation. Is that how you think?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And you got to think of it. If you're touring across America, there's going to be situations where you're going to end up on a dirt road, or
Right.
you're going to end up like in Wyoming or Montana when they do road construction. They do it in 50-mile stretches, and so
And
you're
it's
going to
horrendous.
you're going to be on a 50-mile stretch of dirt,
Yeah.
and that's where like your GS 1300, your Africa Twin,
Mm,
um, they have spoke wheels. They're stronger, so they can deal with the rocks and the
yep.
whatever better. Those bikes are magic in that scenario. So, you know, touring in the West as opposed to touring across the whole country, a big adventure bike is a really great choice because of that. But if you actually want to like do two track or go find fishing holes or wander up into the mountains, I think the middleweight adventure bikes are a better platform.
So it seems to me like you really wouldn't advise going to the full size adventure bikes unless you're either carrying a ton of gear, so you're going to have 3 bags, right? A top trunk and side bags, and probably maybe even a passenger.
And if you're taking that much weight, honestly, get the GS because
Right. Then get the big one, right?
because the telelever is
It deals with it.
objectively, that's what it's designed to be really good at,
Yeah.
right? You're not going to get the dive and the wallowing. That's why the
Yeah.
GS is so freaking popular worldwide, because you can put everything you own on it and it's going to handle exactly the same.
But if you're going to ride solo, if you're not well over 6 foot tall and it's just you and you're going out for kind of adventuring, you want to go find that fishing hole, you want to go out into the backwoods a little bit, probably those middleweight ones are a better option.
Right. And I forgot to mention like the BMW 800s or 850s or whatever they are now. Anything in that, like, or even the Ducati Desert X. I love the look of the Desert
Oh, it
X.
is good looking.
I really like,
Yeah,
but again,
yeah.
it's almost a little too powerful. It's
Yeah.
when you ride a lot of them, even when I rode the Tuareg, which was the 660, it's the smallest of them.
Uh-huh.
I cranked the power down. Like, even you put it into like adventure mode or dirt mode or whatever the mode is, and then usually I'll throttle the power down even from there. And then they become really rideable.
Mhm.
And so like the Desert X, as much as I love it, and I guess it always comes down to user requirements. Where do you really want to go with it?
Mhm.
Right?
I've got a couple good questions. I don't know if we're going to get to all the questions today.
I'm surprised that we're talking as long as we are
These
on
are
each of these.
great.
I thought we were just going to like rattle through them, but like we're never going to fill an hour.
I am not surprised we're talking a lot. I don't think anybody listening is either. All right. If I said, "Hey, Dave, bad news. You have to move down to a single car garage. Your car's still going to fit in here. You've got barely enough room for a bike. What is the bike that fits in your garage?"
It would definitely be one of those middleweight adventure bikes.
You think so?
Yep, it definitely would be. And it would probably be, I'd probably be torn between the Tuareg Rally, a Desert X, or even a Multistrada 990, like
Uh-huh.
the V2s, the smaller ones. If you can only have one bike, because it's crazy. Or do I go to a naked bike?
That's what
Mm.
that's where I
Or do
wasn't sure
do a
where you would go with that.
Tuono? Or do I do a Tuono? Oh
All right,
my
so I think we can narrow
gosh.
this down.
I don't know if I can.
Well, it's going to have a tube bar. I think we can narrow
Definitely
that
be
down.
a 2 bar. I'd want to keep my Multistrada Pikes Peak.
Just so, and that's to be fair, that thing would kill at track days. Even.
It's been on the track a lot. My Pikes Peak has been on the track more than most motorcycles.
So
It's
you
done a lot
heard
of
it here
laps.
first on the Canyon
But it
Chasers
kind of
podcast.
sucks on the track. I'll be honest with you. It is really wallowy. I'm hitting
this thing.
Oh yeah, it has a race mode, and the race mode's a giggle, by the way. But like, I'm hitting foot pegs.
Oh,
I'm hitting the center stand.
surprised! I thought it'd be pretty darn stiff.
No, but then like I take it over like whatever mountain road. It's been on dirt roads. Like, it really is kind of like a multi-road bike, but it's big and it's heavy. If I'm still doing track days and maybe I'm not touring as much, then it would be probably a Tuono. Again, the V4. And if it was even more dirt-ish, I'd probably go to a middleweight. It depends on, like, if I have to go to that small of a garage, am I moving to a different location where the riding's different?
You're still in Utah.
Okay, so if we're still in Utah, then I'm keeping my Pikes Peak V4. That thing is
So for all those,
It's kind of a quiver killer, if we're being honest.
so for all those people out here wondering, like, man, I can only get one bike. Which one should I get?
The $30,000 one.
$35,000 Multistrada.
You don't have to get the Pikes Peak. Like I've been surprised. I have to eat a slice of humble pie. I have been ranting and raving for years about how the 17-inch front wheel is better. But I've ridden a bunch of bikes this year with 19s and 21-inch front wheels. I think the manufacturers have really sorted out the trail numbers to where the 19-inch front wheel is 90% as good as a 17-inch front wheel. So you could go to like your standard.
I'm actually going to get, so I wasn't sure if we were going to get very nerdy on this episode, but we're going to do it right now.
I love it.
Some of these bikes now, these like dual purpose adventure-ish bikes, the newer ones, if you go and look, they are running slightly wider hubs on the front wheel and slightly wider fork settings.
Mm-hmm.
So the forks
I've
are
noticed
set
that, right?
slightly wider apart, so the triple clamps are slightly wider. It is the exact same thing that happened in mountain bikes 10 plus years ago.
Right. We went from like whatever standard to
Boost plus,
Boost
blah, blah,
plus,
blah, like all these standards that aren't standard at all. But the whole point was, if I can make the hub a little wider, if I take so imagine I'm looking at a wheel and coming straight at me. So here's my rim and then here's the hub. If the spokes have to go in a perfectly straight line to the center of the hub, like a really narrow, picture a really narrow hub.
You get a lot of flex.
You get a lot of flex in those spokes, a lot of flex in the rim moving. But the wider I can make the hub, the more angle I can get on those spokes, the more solid and stable that thing gets. And I think that's part of what you're feeling now, is they've figured out to go to, and it's not tons, right? You're talking millimeters.
It wouldn't take much to add a lot of strength. You're talking about triangles, right?
Yeah, because it's degrees that you're changing it. And that alone has made those front wheels way more solid feeling, even though they have the really long hoops with spokes.
Yeah, I kind of dismissed the Multistrada V4, the standard Multistrada V4, because it had a 19-inch front wheel. You can get the Africa Twin with a 21 or a 19-inch front wheel. Mrs. Canyon Chaser, I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on an Africa Twin with the 19-inch front wheel. They feel great.
Can you get good tire options on a 19 now?
You can now. And that was part of why I was always so stuck on 17-inch wheels. Yeah, okay, so a 17-inch wheel changes direction quicker. It feels more sporty. I grew up on sport bikes, right? I'm a kid of the 90s. And the 19s always, and especially the 21s, they used to always feel like you could feel that everything flexing. It was so slow to change direction. It took a lot of the joy out of it.
Yeah.
And now I really can't tell.
Right.
And I feel like I'm pretty good at feeling those things. And they're so freaking good.
Yeah.
So yeah, like anything with a 19-inch front wheel, 17-inch long travel, upright, you can do a lot with that platform.